Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we got a project that's the Olympic Dolphin 615. That's the reel in the front here, and it's sent in by a viewer that says that there's no drags. Unless it's all the way bolted down, and then there's no play whatsoever or adjustment in it. So it sounds like one drags. So that could be a problem. So we're going to go take a look at this one. But a little bit quickly on the Olympic, you had a lot of reels made in the 70s and the 80s that kind of look like pen reels, internally and externally. We've got 3 of them here. This is the Olympic we're going to work on. This one is a compact 8000. And, you know, a quick glance, even with the handle, I don't know if that's the original handle or someone put a pen handle on there. But you have a handle that looks like pen and a reel that very much looks like the center to 3.0. And here's a Ken core. And this one is the Model 840, also of the same era. This one happens to look a little bit more like the Garcia Mitchell. But all of them, you know, kind of have the same characteristics with slight changes, right? Here's a Bakelite handle, but the handle is squared rather than in the typical S pattern, right? And then we got the one we'll work on, which is the Olympic Dolphin. This is a beautiful, clean reel. It shows some signs of wear and the like. We'll go fix. But here's a situation where you got the S handle of a pen, different knob. But, you know, again, if it wasn't for the blue side plates, if they were black, you might think you were working on a Pen 4.0. So we'll take a look at that. There is some cosmetic issues we'll clear up. You have the harness tabs are kind of bent inward, probably from getting hit. We've got an eccentric free spool lever that's on backwards. You have the tag facing out rather than in. No big deal. It seems to work. But let's take this apart. Let's find out what's going on. And if we can repair it on one shot, you'll see the repair. If we have to wait for parts, we'll come back another day and finish that. The biggest issue I think that we have with this one is going to be parts availability. This one, you get the Ocean City reels and some of the others that are out there, Bronson's and the like. You're not going to find parts availability like you would if it was a pen reel. My best hope here is that this is a kind of a copy of a pen, and that the pen drags from either the 4.0 or the Jigmaster will fit these. If they do, then it's kind of a simple swap. Just use the pen ones. They're all pretty much the same. If they're not available, then we'd have to go buy a sheet of Carbon Tex drag material and cut them out. So you know, fingers crossed we don't have to go do that, but if it's necessary, we will, because the owner wants to keep this reel. It's got value to him, and you know, wants to keep it along for a while. I'm taking these out. I'm putting the screws into my parts tray. You also notice I have that protective glove on. Try to have that on most of the time because we don't know what kind of chemicals are inside. Right now I've put these all in there because these are the post screws. And before I go too much further, I want to make sure that all of the screws are the same length. The screws usually vary with shorter screws in the reel seat, and those are going to be the 2 that I'm going to take out now. Interestingly enough, I had 4 screws there that were Phillips head screws, and now I have 2 of these that are not. So these were probably replaced at some point. And you find that on the older reels, vibration will shake the screws loose, and if they shake them loose and they fall out, then they need to you know, you need to replace them to keep the frame structurally sound. So these appear to be the same length. They do not appear to be stainless. They appear to be some kind of a steel, which over time would probably rust. There seems to be some evidence of either discoloration or maybe the beginnings of some water rust there. Regardless, they are different, and I am going to keep them apart as I remember these. I didn't find schematics on this when I went to look online, so it's a good thing to take pictures. And if you take the pictures, it'll generally tell you what's going on with the reel, and you'll see the sequence that you took the pieces and parts off, and it'll also enable you to put them back correctly. Okay, I'm not going to do much with this frame other than this tab is bent as it is on this one. On this one we already took the the screws out, so we want to take that out of the side plate then. The temptation is to take a screwdriver or something and lever it back this way, or pliers. I don't like to do that. It risks bending the side plate, or it risks fracturing I meant the trim ring, or it risks bending the or breaking the plastic side plate. So what I like to do is just take the pieces out completely, and then we can press these straight in a vise. And that vise is just off camera. It's not going to help you, but I'll show you the effect of it. You could also hammer it down, I assume, and do some other things with it, but for the most part, the best way to do it is just press it out in a vise. And this one isn't cooperating, of course. Probably not cooperating because it's bent. So you have to work that out, and I'm not having any luck. There we go. I pulled it out this way. I didn't pry it in any regard. So what we want to do with this then is we just want to put it in the jaws of a vise, and just simple cranking it will straighten it back to its original form. And you can see that's a much better bend to it than what it has here. What that'll enable you to do then is to put your harness on it and have it stand upright rather than twist on the rod. There you go. So we got both of them back pretty much to what it was. Certainly a lot better than what it is now. Alright, so let's just go put that one back in, get these pieces off my table, and go over and do the repair. See, that's the way it should be sitting, pretty much straight across. So we've got that lined up, come on through the back. Let's get that post on, and then we'll go over and we'll see if any of these pen drag washers can be used here. If not, like I said, we'll have to go and make them. Alright, so that's on this side. That repair is complete. Let's go take this piece off then. We're going to start just as we would with any pen or other reel for that matter. Take the gear drive out. This one I think is probably going to have the pen nut on. It looks very close, and sure enough it does. So I don't know if these were direct copies or if there's a different thing going on here, but I'm just hopeful that if they copied the reel enough that they used pen comparable sizes on the gear parts. Alright, so we've taken the adjuster nut off, we've taken the little collar off, the ferrule here, and the drag stack will be under here. I'm going to remove the other trim ring while we're at it. There's 4 screws, just like a pen. Inside looks very much like a pen. Here's your eccentric, your eccentric spring, the jack that will move this into free spool up and down. Then you have a bridge that looks very much like a pen with the 4, and the main gear underneath, and a spool gear here. I'm just going to grab a towel. There's not a lot of anything going on here, but if I can get some of that surface off, I will. Again, just like we would with any other reel, we're going to take these screws out. We're going to notice if they're the same screw or different. These are flat-bladed screws, so we can just loosen these up. And because I don't know this reel, it's been years since I've worked on an Olympic, I don't know exactly how that anti-reverse dog is going to work, so I'm taking a little bit of a risk here. So you notice I have my hand cupped. That's so that if the anti-reverse dog has a spring associated with it, that it's going to land in my hand and not on the workbench. So here's all for nothing. There's the spring. So the spring for the anti-reverse dog is pretty much the same. Here's your dog. A little bit different, but pretty much the same setup. And this, quite honestly, looks like the drags may fit or may be the same as the Pen 60. So I'm going to go ahead and put these pieces in here. Noting that the anti-reverse mechanism, which I haven't seen, came off of this side, which means it's anchored here. So we'll think that the indentation in this case then will hold the spring, and the anti-reverse dog will work off of the bottom post here. All right, the screws themselves are all the same, so we can move those screws over. These are like the pen screws. They're all partially threaded. The pen screws have fully threaded below. And the indentations here in the side plate of this reel, it looks very much like a pen reel. So again, I don't know if Penn licensed the patent to these folks or exactly how the designs came to be, but again, for my backstory, if anybody on the channel knows that, let me know. I'm just always curious about these things. I know some of them, like Compact, the reel I showed you just earlier, that was a competitor, and kind of made job lots when the reels were being made in Japan in the 70s, mostly before production got moved over to China. All right, the rest of this reel is clean, so I'm going to take a gamble here. We're going to go lubricate this first, and then we're going to just go see if we can't size up what looks like the Model 60s drag washers to see if that is indeed going to be the case, or if we're going to have to go be custom about this. So we're going to take these out, and we're going to notice the stack. So the main gear will sit on there. The stack is a traditional stack. You can see what happened here. This is more about the washers being worn, but also being frozen onto the washer assembly, the metal ones. And I don't think we're going to have the luck. I think that the 60 gears, yeah, the 60s are going to be two. The post side on the 60, it's the same 60 size as the 60, but the post hole is too narrow. And there's a way to cut it, but not on camera right now. There is a way to cut this to broaden that base to use them. So we're going to come back to this one. I'm going to go see if I can't get some washers that resemble that, and if they do, then we're going to pick this up. Right, for now, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Thanks for viewing. Hi, this is Dennis. I'm back. So the owner of this reel is going to say, wait a minute, the guy's got his same shirt on. He's cleaned up his hands. He's putting that glove back on. And where did he get the washers so quickly? Well, truth of the matter is I just made them, which is kind of interesting. But we'll share with you how I did that. And it's a remedy if you have an older reel that doesn't have the parts available. And if you have a couple of tools that are basic to a workshop, you can make it happen. So when we left this reel, we had these washers that are no longer any good. They're very brittle. They just snap and are compressed. There's nothing to them, and so the drag was not holding on the reel. So what did we go do? Well, I grabbed this washer as a template. I found a washer in my collection of washers. It's from the Penn 60, the Senator. And this has the same internal diameter as the washer for this one. Unfortunately, the washer's too big. So what do? Well, this is a home remedy for that, and it's something that you can do to shave down the HT100 washers. The HT100 washers basically have a Teflon inside with the fabric coating on it. They're very durable, and if you put these on a long bolt and you chuck that into a drill press, you can spin this and use a file. This is the wrong file, but you can use a file as it's spinning to shave it down. And then once you reach the right diameter, well, then you have an acceptable replacement, actually a better replacement than what was original to this reel with the fabric washer. So I'm not going to lie, I've test fit this several times. This is the last iteration. I believe that they are going to fit in now, so I will take them apart, and I'll show you a little bit about what I did here too. So this is a bolt. It has a cap nut and a cap bottom on it. I suspect that somewhere along the line something was shipped to me, and I decided just to hold the thing in my bucket of nuts and bolts, just like everybody else seems to have one around. And what I found is this bolt was not the right diameter. So I had to pad that diameter. I used electric tape to get that to the point where it was the same diameter as that washer, or in this case the gear sleeve. And then because I had the extra tape, I packed it with just a bunch of washers. And the last washer I put on there was the same diameter as the washers that need to go in here. And actually it was the cap nut from the bridge assembly. Once I did that, I secured it all down with the other side with the nut, chucked that into the drill press and filed away. Here's my results. So I have 3 washers now, and let's just make sure. I know they fit because I've already tested them, but you can't get any better than that. And that's exactly what we have here. We've got replacement washers, and this reel is going to be ready to go once I reassemble. So let's go ahead and do that. And we've got there's a fabric washer on the back. Now I got the HT100s. I'm going to grab some grease, and we're going to spread that grease onto our washers, and this is just to keep them lubricated. So a little bit on both sides. If you've watched this, you've seen me do this before. A little bit on there. It's Cal's Universal Dry Grease. I'm going to put that onto the washers, spread it around with my gloved hand. Checking these washers, these are smooth. There's tarnish, but they're smooth, no action required. Set that into the second slot. Grab a little bit of that grease again onto the drag washer. Spread it around with the gloved hand. We're assuming all 3 fit. There's the second one is in nicely. The middle washer, just like a pen, is eared and goes in the slots of the gear. So we've just done that. Here's your top drag washer then. So this is an upgrade now. This there's no longer fabric washer. It's basically an HT100 drag set now. And we have that washer and then the cap washer. So the stack is ready to be reinstalled. So the reel's been cleaned. We have new drags on, which was the customer's problem. We've lubricated on this side. We've straightened out the ear on that side. We're just going to go ahead and reinstall them. So we have a reel that is very similar, as we said earlier, to a pen reel. Now it's actually going to kind of share a transplant here with pen drags as well. We're going to go ahead and put the 2 springs in. We're going to find the yoke and this spool gear. The yoke has got a little bit of old grease on it, so I'm going to take that off, and it still seems like there's a little bit of tarnish on there or something, so I'm going to grab a piece of steel wool just to make sure that that's nice and smooth. We're going to do that on the other side as well. Then we'll grab some blue grease again. In this case it's the Pen Universal or Pen Precision Reel grease. Kind of universal to all reels, that's probably why I was getting ahead of myself. Check this spool gear. Now you'll notice all spool gears have 2 sides. One has got an indentation in it, the other is flat. The flat always goes to the back of the reel. That's because the indentation is set for the little collar that's on the spool, and when it's properly engaged it sits on that collar to turn that spool. If you put it in backwards it won't turn because there's no indentation. It will just slide around on that shaft. Okay, we're going to push down on that. We're going to grab the jack and we're going to insert the jack right back into the eccentric. That's that piece. Okay, so we're getting closer now. These are just leftovers now from that project. We're going to grab the bridge, and the bridge is going to install by pushing down and coming halfway. Now this anti-reverse is a little bit different. I did take the time to tell you that I don't know this reel that well early on, but it's not that much different in a pen reel. What is different is that this dog is kind of got the spring coming in a different direction. So the dog sets on there, and then the spring is going to go in this little cavity here. I don't know if we can see that clear enough there, but the spring is going to hook over the tip of that dog. It's going to get compressed down, and this is where I get nervous. because I don't have another spring like this. So you gotta be very careful as you're setting these that they don't fly, as this one is wont to do. This is always fun. It always gets your excitement level up a little bit when you're loading a spring like this. Because you know you can make a replacement washer, but you can't necessarily find a replacement spring. So I have it in there, but I'm just holding it and waiting for this to close appropriately. And that cap washer belongs on the outside, so there's a problem there. So we're going to have to take this assembly out, and we're going to have to rework this now. And I was being very ginger about this. So this last cap washer belongs on the outside as a shim, and I noticed that because this was proud. So let's go do this again. Looks like if this had a missing part to it, especially these springs, it looks like these springs would be comparable with the pen as with the yoke, and probably the jack too. So I don't know if there was a design element here with the Japanese manufacturer. I know there were Japanese manufacturers that made the pen Silver Series. I don't know if they shared intellectual property. I guess that would be today's term for it, right? Intellectual property with these folks, but regardless, this design is very, very similar. Alright, we gotta hook that in. We swing this around. We get nervous again trying to load that darn spring. We know we did it the last time. We just have to be very careful here. Fortunately, it's not shooting far as it's shooting. This is where that gloved hand sometimes is a disadvantage, but just bear with me. We'll see if we can't get this to seat again. We did. And then I am quick, as you might have noted there, I am quick to playing with that jack. That jack has come off the eccentric stud. I'm trying to do that without shooting the... There we go. I got it back. Unfortunately, so patience is a virtue with these things. And what just happened here, this came off the eccentric stack, and we had a twist that caused the dog to ride under the main gear. So just take it all off again. This is just, sometimes you just have to be patient. See if you can't get it right. Be patient while you're doing it. So we're going to load that up. Take a deep breath, reset the spool gear, get nervous with that silly little spring. Reset the jack, and that eccentric lever is still on backwards. That's okay. Grab that spring. Actually, I'm going to leave that spring in there. Let's see if we can go this way. Now we're going to reseat the main gear. I'm going to take that spring out. I just don't like working it backwards. We're going to want to get that dog onto the collar. Looks like we got it right this time. Only time and effort will tell. Here we go again with our little loading that spring. I think springs make everybody nervous. And for some reason this dog just keeps wanting to get ahead of that gear. Okay, let's see if we can grab that. It just needs to be grabbed and pulled in. There we go, I think we got it now. So don't force anything, that's a general rule of mine. It'll only get you in trouble and lead to bad results. I can't tell you how many reels I've seen come back to me in pieces and parts with frustrated owners saying I tried to do this and this broke. And you know in your heart the only way that that thing possibly could have broken was with force. And you know, you're happy to try and help them out, but by the same token, you know that it's only a bad result that's going to come of that. Okay, so I think we got them all attached here. We do. Let's see if that anti-reverse works now. I know the drags are going to work. That's part of this reel now. Okay. Seems a little tight. I'm just going to back the screw off for a moment. Grab the handle. There we go. Now we got it. There we go. So we're doing what we should be doing now. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up then. So we have the inside plate goes on. That's the outside plate. We've got an eccentric here that's backwards, so let's take care of that while we're at it. Mostly with the eccentric spring, you can find the balance point, which seems to be right here. You want to loosen the screw. And while it's balanced, hold the back end of it with your finger so that it doesn't pull away. You can see me holding it there. And flip. It's the same thing. So what happens here is folks can't set that tension spring, so they flip this over. And it works, but it doesn't work properly. That's not the way it's supposed to hang. There you go. We can do that. Flip it around. There's a little tension washer that goes on the back of this screw here. And we can reset the screw. And again, I'm holding that steady so that it doesn't complete the trip to the free spool. Because if you hold it, if you let it complete the trip, you're going to be out of the balance with the spring below. Okay, this will take care of that. Sometimes the cosmetic things just kind of drive me nuts, but that's the way that this one belongs now. All right, we got one more piece to lube here. That's the jack. We're good with that. We want to set the internal trim ring now. And we know up top we have that slot for the harness. So let's get that on the right one. And the harness goes through and sets inside. Remember, we straightened that out on the last one. Line that up. Just trying to get that into the slot in the side case right now. We got to do it this way, and it's been a while since I've worked on these. The old more than one way. We got it now. So we're all lined up on the one side. The other side we just need to turn till we see the clearing in the pieces. We'll grab that spool, a little bit of blue grease on the back end of the spool. Sit that in the side plate bearing. We can grab this side plate then. And you just saw me pull the line out of the way. If you don't pull the line out of the way, it'll trap itself and the spool won't turn properly. All right, let's go put this one in. Now when I do side plates, I like to get them started in a cross pattern so that I have balance in the screws. I'm just having some difficulty here. That's not news. I like to do one up top here because I got to hold that little harness on. And I don't know why I'm just not seating that properly, but there we go. Should do it. So yeah, so this side plate has 4 stainless and 2 that are not stainless, which are replacements. I think what I saw, the good news here was that the screws were the same size. Too many times I see this where somebody puts replacement screws and they've been everything from sheet metal screws to the ones that are misthreaded, and all you do is you ruin the reel seat, and once you go to repair that again, it never comes out right. So I would tell you, if you do have a missing screw, by all means make sure that you go find the right screw, and if it's not the right screw, at least find the right thread pattern to the screw. And like I said, these appear to be steel screws as opposed to stainless steel screws. If you're going to do that, you better use a lot of oil. You better keep them lubricated and rust free, because if they rust in there, you won't get them out either. But these are going in fine, so we're okay with that. Here's the other one. I'm going to actually put a drop of oil on this as we thread it, just to go back and get that one too. That's not fully threaded yet. Just there's a little bit of extra protectorant there. I don't have pieces and parts. That's one of the problems with the Olympic and the Compact and the Kencor. You'd have to have a donor reel in order to get those pieces. And I think the owner of this reel understands that those parts aren't available either. So 2 more screws here, then we'll put the collar on. We'll put that little cap washer on, tension washer. We'll put the drag adjuster back on, the handle, and this thing will be ready to go fishing. And I know this reel means something to the owner, so the owner will have this to enjoy for a long time to come. All right, last screw. So I've been doing the reels for a long time now. I've seen a lot of them. Some of them I haven't seen in a while, like this one. And once you get comfortable with the reel technology, generally speaking, the reels will pretty much be comparable. There'll always be a little bit of change, but I find it remarkable how close the design on this one is with the pen reel. Okay, so now we see we've got the harness is been righted properly. We want to take the ferrule. We want to put a little drop of oil inside the gear sleeve. This sat on top of the ferrule. We have the drag adjustment, star drag. And this drag is going to be a whole new level of responsiveness now. So we have this, what's happening here is it appears to be properly threaded because this is going even, but it's spinning. So you want to hold that. And this is got slots in it for holding, so just grab a screwdriver and hold that while you turn. Oh, in this case, I'm going to guess maybe it's not threaded all the way. Just wanted to check. It shouldn't matter which way on the... All right, that's better. Once you get that little collar there, you can grab the rest by the handle and turn the adjuster knob like we're doing now. Give it a test drive. Look at that, huh? Nice. This one had a little felt washer up top, fabric washer. I'm not quite sure why. Most of the time you'll see a metal tension washer there, but it came that way, so it's going back that way. And we'll grab that handle screw. Find my trusty pen wrench. You want to line the slots up with the set screw indentation. And that's another reason why I like this one. You can get a little bit more leverage if you have to make that last little bit of a turn there to get it lined up, which we just did. And then all that's left is this set screw. So, wow, we did a lot on this one. We showed you an older reel, an Olympic Dolphin 615. We showed you how to overcome a problem with parts availability by finding a drag that had the internal diameters the right way. And now we're working on the, so we have free spin, we have adjustment, we tighten down, we've got a good set of drag washers to go fishing. So the moral of this is don't give up on the reel. Use some ingenuity there, the old Connecticut Yankee kind of stuff, to come up with some solutions. In this case, we built an arbor for the size of the drag washers, loaded them in, filed the Penn 60 HT100 drags down to size, fit it, and we got a reel ready to go for a long time to come. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you learned something from it. If you did, please like it. If you want to see more, please subscribe. Again, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Thank you for watching.